Attorney General, it's good to see you here. It's good to see Mary. I know that there are probably other places you'd both rather be today, but you've always looked at public service as something you did together, and it's good to see you here together and know that your family continues to be proud and supportive of what you do.
Thank you. I'm blessed indeed.
I agree with that. I agree with that. Let me just get a couple of things clear in my mind here of notes I've taken while people were asking questions and you were talking. On the April 27th, 2016 event, I think that's the Mayflower Hotel speech that the presidential candidate gave on foreign policy. You didn't have a room at that event where you had private meetings, did you?
No, I did not.
And as I understand it, you went to a reception that was attended by how many people?
I think 2 to 3 dozen.
2 to 3 dozen people. You went in, heard a speech, and then may have seen people on your way out.
Correct.
So when you said you possibly had a meeting with Mr. Kislyak, did you mean you possibly met him?
I didn't have any formal meeting with him. I'm confident of that, but I may have had an encounter during the reception. That's the only thing I cannot say with certainty I did not. That's all I can say.
Well, that's what I thought you were saying, but sometimes when I hear I had a meeting, that would mean more to me than I met somebody. You're
right.
You might have met him at the reception. Could you have met other ambassadors at that reception as well?
I could. I remember one in particular that we had a conversation with, whose country had an investment in Alabama, and we talked a little length about that. I remember that, but otherwise have no recollection of a discussion with the Russian ambassador.
All right. So you were there. You've read since he was there. You may have seen him, but you had no room where you were having meetings with individuals to have discussions at the Mayflower Hotel that day.
No, that is correct.
Well, whenever you talked to Mr. Comey after he had had his meeting with the president, you think that was probably the next day? You didn't stay afterwards and see him after he left the Oval Office that night?
No. I understand his testimony may have suggested that it happened right afterwards, but it was either the next morning, which I think it was, or maybe the morning after that. We had a 3 times a week national security briefing with the FBI that I undertake, and so it was after that we had that conversation.
We had that conversation. Now, what I'm not quite clear on is, did you respond when he expressed his concern or not?
Yes, I did respond. I think he's incorrect. He indicated, I believe, that he was not totally sure of the exact wording of the meeting, but I do recall my chief of staff was with me, and we recall that I did affirm the longstanding written policies of the Department of Justice concerning communications with the White House. We have to follow those rules, and in the long run, you're much better off if you do. They do not prohibit communications one-on-one by the FBI director with the president, but if that conversation moves into certain areas, it's the duty, the rules apply to the Department of Justice. So it's a duty of the FBI agent to say, Mr. President, I can't talk about that. That's the way that should work. And apparently it did, because he says he did not improperly discuss matters with the president.
When Mr. Comey